This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Juma. We're at Juma Dam at the moment, looking at some impala that have just disappeared over the ridge. But welcome, my name's John T. We got Darren on the camera, and we're going to be exploring Juma with you this afternoon. I must apologize. I was so excited after morning drive. I thought I was about to go watch a rugby game, and it's actually only tomorrow. So I'm very sorry about that. But we are joined by Ali this afternoon on Juma. We have JP at Pridelands and Dyke at Engala. I think Darren and I, we're going to try head to that last position where Ali had the young male leopard this morning, see if we can find him again. And as always, we always enjoy getting your comments and questions, so please keep sending them through. Use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, at FC on YouTube, and if you're under the age of 18, pop us a mail on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. You can register on the WildEarth website. Head over to the live safari page, and you can submit your questions there. So it is beautifully warm and sunny. I don't know what the actual temperature is, but it's hot. So I think initially the first part of the drive will be kind of checking the sort of shady spots. We're going to check at Twin Dams initially. That will be our first dam we check after this one. And then we'll continue to where that young male leopard was last seen. I can hear a squirrel. Shouting in the drainage line below the dam wall to the right of that big tree that's in frame. Maybe, I think I can see a bird of prey there. Can't see properly what it is, but it's all ruffled up. Quite a bit further to the right, on the left-hand side of that sort of dead tree. That's
gotta be a bit more specific there.
Pan to the right a little bit. Okay, now I'll go in. No, down to the left. Left, 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 left. Okay, now go in. It's on the left of that tree that's in the middle. The way it's sitting in that small little crest on the back of the head, that actually looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. That could well be what the squirrel's shouting at. There's some hornbills talking, a golden-tailed woodpecker. As we stopped here, both Darren and I, we could smell like a rotting carcass. Lucky we see, well, now going into this time of year, Wahlberg's eagle will be pretty common, but they are just coming back. Some battaliers, brown snake eagles, martial eagles we get to see, steppe eagles. You see black-chested snake eagle every now and again. Tawnies. As we pulled in here, we got like quite a strong smell of carrion, but it could be, this is where that male lion walked down last night, so I wonder if he didn't drop off a little landmine in this area. And we also see African hawk eagles, African harrier hawks, a few of the buzzards.
Goshawks.
Goshawks, yeah, they're a bit smaller. But yeah, we definitely see goshawks.
Never seen a secretary yet.
A secretary bird here. I've never seen one on Juma. But I've seen in a bit further south. I've seen them on the southern parts of Singita. Seen secretary birds. But yeah, as nice as it is to sit here, we've got a bit of ground to cover, so I think let's get going. And let's try and get into that area so that we can have a bit of time to try and find this leopard again. I want to make sure I don't drive through a lion deposit. It's amazing how strong that smell is. And there it is. That's probably what we were smelling. Oh my goodness. That is outrageous. Ding, 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 ding. Jamie, the birds that are here all year round, they still manage to find enough food. So it might be just that in the design of the ones that migrate away, that's sort of what creates enough. You know, it almost creates a gap for the ones that stay behind, but they don't struggle. They all still have plenty of food to look for and to survive. Oh, check that monitor lizard. So we're just going to hang out with this monitor lizard in the tree, and you're going to go have a look at the weather at the different locations. Look at this guy, just enjoying his spot there, basking in the sun. You'd think he'd go a little bit more on the branch, looks a bit precarious there. I must say, in the direct sun, it definitely feels a little bit warmer than 26 degrees. But we'll take their word for it. You might find this monitor lizard might even have a hole in this tree that it will go into. Incredibly powerful how they can climb up into these trees. You can see those claws on the back leg, how they've almost anchored it in position. And the back leg and the front leg, those claws are doing a great job. And quite good camouflage on the bark of this tree. While we bask in the sun here, you're going to head over to Pridelands. JP would like to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to Eco Training Pridelands. We are live out in our bushwalk and we just found an African elephant bull that was busy feeding over there. This guy has come from the water. You can see that there's a lot of mud on him at the moment. So he's probably already had a drink and went for a swim and now is moving off to go and feed again. We're going to see if we can stick with him. The wind has just suddenly changed where it was in our favour and I think that is maybe what has triggered him. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Craig. I just want to see what this elephant is doing. At the moment he's pretty relaxed and doesn't really show any form of distress. Quite often when they do pick up on us in terms of wind and smell, it's best to actually avoid following them because they can become very cautious of what you are doing. And if they pick you up a second or third time maybe, then it can start becoming problematic and the animal can potentially start focusing on you and come and investigate what you are doing as it can perceive you as a threat. There was a second one that we found as well, but he's already disappeared, and it's just amazing how quickly they can disappear in this thick vegetation, and how that grey skin colour blends in so perfectly with the winter bush colours. It's also for me amazing how they can be so quiet when they walk, and one of the main reasons is because of how their feet is constructed, and there's a large amount of cartilage underneath the foot, which allows them for that silent walking. Well, we're going to move on and go and see if there's any activity at the dam. There might just be some more animals coming in for a drink. Let's go and see what the others are up to.
Well, it is a beautiful 26 degrees and we are just cruising along on Djuma Private Game Reserve, seeing what we can see. In the afternoons it's often a common theme. We'll be going from sort of waterhole to waterhole to see what's happening. And that is indeed what is at the end of this road. Is Twin Dams, one of the spots we want to check. Often this sort of time in the drive, we normally just had lunch, so you kind of just feel very relaxed and lethargic as we drive along, the wind in our face. Luckily the sun's at our backs, just keeping us warm. You almost hit a bit of a daydream, just cruising along.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. Very happy to have you here with us on board looking at this waterhole. We came to check up on the baby hippo that we saw just yesterday because it was incredibly adorably cute. And everybody should start their day or their afternoon with some unbearable cuteness because that's just the best way to do things. My name is Ali and on camera with me today is Morgan, and we are just chilling at Sydney's Dam. We were hoping that we would have a herd of elephants coming around, but unfortunately no elephants today. Just the hippos. And there in the distance, somewhere around there, lies a little baby hippo that's been climbing on top of its mom. I think in this case is just behind the mother. You can just see the tiny little ears coming up and down. And yesterday when I came here, it was quite windy and we could only see the heads and the nostrils of some of the other hippos around, but I think we actually have a pod here, not the case of a female and a male. I can see 3 different heads of different sizes. So I suspect we've got 2 females and their youngsters in here, and doesn't look like any males actually now that I see. Oh, there's another head there. Maybe 2 females and a male and all the youngsters. You see there are all the heads. Lots of scratches on the back of a hippo. Even amongst them, the hippos can be quite aggressive. So of course, when they use their sharp tusks to bite or to nudge one another, then that's when all those scars get created. Lucky for them, because of their semi-aquatic lifestyle, they produce a substance that is often called the red sweat, that is of a orangey red color, that helps or prevents their or absorbs ultraviolet light, and then also helps prevent any bacteria and any infection. So it almost acts like as an instant sanitizer that they produce themselves to keep themselves healthy and avoid any possible damages, because if you can imagine living in water with wounds, might not be the best thing. But all these wounds are healed, so it doesn't seem like this hippo is particularly affected by it. The little one, unfortunately, has become a little bit shy, but we've got these 2 other ones that don't have the biggest heads around. Oh, sorry, Morgan, I'm just making you jump from one to the other. And they've got quick maneuver there, though. Well done. 2 different head sizes. So much smaller hippos, and it's the only way that we've got to determine any difference between individuals. Hippos, as I was saying yesterday, look basically the same when you look at them from this angle and they're in the water. And the only way that you'd be able to tell the difference between a male and a female, generally without looking at genitalia, is just by weight. But in the water, or when you're just looking at nostrils and 2 ears, it's quite difficult to tell the difference between them. I was hoping the little one was going to put on a show like it did yesterday, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Hippos are enjoying the water though. It's been hot today again, so it was a very cold, chilly morning, and then the sun's out and about, so I must say the hippos I really think are my spirit animal. The fact that they get to laze around in the water the whole day and then just come out of the water at night and just be as round as they want. That is the lifestyle right there. If I come back, I want to be a hippo. We're going to move off from our hippos, see what else we can find around today, but we're going to send you guys across to Engala, where Dyke would like to say good afternoon.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to African Wildlife Safari. My name is Dyke Koza and I've got Johan on the camera behind me. Yeah, I just stopped here to look at this beautiful viewing of this Timbavati dry riverbed. It is a dry riverbed at the moment, but it's unbelievable that there are some spots, I'd say the river is still flowing underneath, of which you happen to see elephants digging for water in this dry riverbed. This is a beautiful spot to stop and watch these elephants playing around and digging for water. You never know, because animals move anyway. You'll be watching elephants digging for water and the young ones playing around. We stopped here one afternoon and watched this 2 young elephant bulls that were part of the herd. Very playful that afternoon, and we thought that was very exciting. And just by luck, we got surprised because we saw the youngest elephant calves started running straight into the middle of the herd. And guess what? There was a pride of lands walking across right behind the elephants, which was very, very fascinating, watching two different species more or less in the same area by that riverbed, of which is a beautiful place to stop here, more especially towards sunset, and we stop here. And also nice viewing to see this river coming down, because the water will be coming slowly around the corner there, which is a beautiful area to stop and view this river coming down. It does come down sometimes. You won't believe this become a river in summer, even though it's a seasonal river, which come down in summer after some good rains. Just downstream, there's our camp, the tented camp, which, so we're just gonna go with our plan for the afternoon, just bumble around and see what we can find. And while we do that, let's go over to Alien and the Hippos.
Well, we wanted to leave and carry on, but of course as we did that, then we caught a glimpse of the tiny little one, and then we decided to stick around a little bit longer. It's, of course, being camera shy today, it doesn't want to be seen. So I'm kind of hoping that we will see just a little nostril, maybe, the two tiny little ears from behind. Oh, it seems like there's another hippo coming to join the party. Oh, tiny little thing. You can see it just behind the mother. Morgan, who we've decided today is a big softie, was very excited when he saw the baby pop out again. And then we've got another hippo that's approaching the rest of the pod. It's just been hanging around sort of on the edges away from all of this group around here. And as it started approaching, it's the one that started making that call, which we often refer to as a laugh, because it really does sound like someone is laughing. And it's got to be one of the most hilarious calls that you have out here in the bush. You can't not giggle when you hear it. It's great. Approaching very slowly. I think it's just a way it was calling just to let the other ones know that it's approaching and it's coming this way, just to keep in good communication and advertise its ideas of where it's going without stressing anyone out. I would imagine the mom with a tiny little one is still a little bit cautious of other hippos around her little one, still very small, so they might be a bit on the aggressive side. So far it seems like everything is well here. It's a nice waterhole to be at. Is that a monkey? I thought I heard a monkey alarming. Nope, I think I'm imagining things now. I'm surprised the hippos are revealing so much of themselves, especially the one that's there in the middle. Kathy, hippos don't float. They're too heavy to float, so they just kind of propel themselves with the bottom, or they just stand at the bottom of the water. In this case, you can just see how shallow the water is, because that hippo with half of his body outside is not actually doing anything to keep himself that way or itself that way. It's just pretty much standing at the bottom. So I feel like its legs are fully extended, and then if it wanted to cover its skin from the harsh effects of the sun, then it would likely bend its legs and kind of lie down, and then that would cover most of its back if it went back and did that. But the hippos that we're seeing here, none of them are swimming. They're all resting with their feet at the bottom of the dam, which is not too deep. It's actually quite shallow, and considering we are heading off the rainy season, or heading off into the rainy season, and we're coming from the dry season, it's very likely that this dam is going to carry on shrinking for the next couple of days, or for the next couple of weeks, I should say, until we have sufficient rain to raise the water levels for this dam. It'll be interesting to see what the rainy season will do this year. Last year we had a lot of water, so I suppose we're all just kind of wanting to see if we're going to get rained upon again as much as we did last year, or if we can expect a drier season. At least last year was good to replenish a lot of the dams that had been dry for a couple of years, or since roughly 2015.
I have a degree in environmental planning and development. My passion is outdoor classrooms. We are not only grooming the environmentalists of tomorrow, but tomorrow's leaders as well. My long-term goal is for the people of South Africa to learn how to live sustainably and to be able to look after themselves and the environment. So I hope that through environmental education, we are able to get that message to the future generation of South Africa so that they start now and can continue that good practice in the future. Environmental education is critical so that people can live sustainably in the future. That is my long-term goal.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
Either Franklin or Guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with Guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back to a very shady spot. Darren's just zooming in. He's continued his birding theme, and he pulled off an absolute blinder of a spot. You can see that little bird down there. So Darren is super pumped up that he saw that and identified it, and he's asking if the viewers can also identify which kingfisher that is. I'll get a book out to show some of the differences, but remember to have a look at some of the things. You can see some of the distinguishing features, that sort of white stripe above the eye, the color of the feathers on the top of the head, the color of the beak. Even Elton can give us a guess at FC. Darren, I don't think we're getting too many takers, my man.
Ask them a clue.
Maybe everybody knows. Mobile laptop, Darren's given you half a point. It's quite brutal. It's a brown hooded kingfisher. But well done, yeah, you're close enough there. We are here, we're actually next to Twin Dams. There's not too much happening at the water, so we just parked in the shade of this beautiful jackalberry tree. What is that sound? I thought that was you. There's a funny sound coming from behind the car. Yeah, we've just been enjoying the shade here. There's a gentle breeze coming through. And there was a nice little bird party here when we arrived, but they've actually moved off now. But this is the type of spot, I think, if you came and set up a hammock or something here with your book, if you read, a couple cool drinks and just chilled out for the whole afternoon, I think you would see some pretty cool things, some good birds obviously, but you never know what you would see on their way to the watering hole. And that kingfisher's hardly moved. Just on a perch there, looking to see if it can see any insects maybe. I think we are going to leave this kingfisher and carry on, but you have the privilege of going to join an absolute master, Dyke at Engala.
Yeah, this is what's always so nice and exciting about this African wildlife, because you'll be driving or bumbling around and I'll end up asking yourself a question, are we going to see something? And all of a sudden you come across anything on the road just feeding there. As you look in front of us, there's this beautiful tree. This is one of those famous Marula tree, of which the tree is Marula and then the fruit is Amarula. If any of you have tried the Amarula, this is where the liquor comes from, of which this is the tree that people believe when elephants, monkeys, baboons eat the fruits, they get drunk, but I'm not sure how sure that is. But I know back home we make 3 different alcohols from the fruits of this beautiful Marula tree, of which one tastes like a sparkling wine, one tastes like a beer, and the third one, it's called a skokian, which translates to a moonshine. So the fruits come into season in December, January. During the olden days, this is when all the men are gone away from home for work. And then the woman will collect the fruits and brew the liquor, maybe put it in a couple of 20-liter containers and bury it underground for 3 months to ferment, so nobody must touch it. And then during Easter holiday, when everybody comes home, they bring it out. This is when you hear lots of singing in the community. And then that's the time I use these 3 South African words. Some of you might be familiar with the Afrikaans impression lekker, which spells L-E-K-K-E-R, which is an impression that you can use for anything good. Like last night I had a lekker party, and then babalas is Zulu for hangover, and then Aish for ouch. So it's like after having that liquor, it's the next morning's Aish, I've got babalas. So it's very interesting though. You look at the tree, it looks dead, but it's not. This tree is still alive. It's just waiting for a little bit of rain, and then it will start flowering and then have leaves. Soon you might see the fruits, they green in color when they're raw and then tend to become yellow in color when they're ripe. And then this is like the fruits are 3 times vitamin C than an orange, which is very protective. So yeah, we're just gonna bumble around and see what else we can find down this road and go over to JP.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We were just viewing a kudu, but he's unfortunately disappeared behind the bushes. We're going to see if he's going to come back, but in the meanwhile, I'm just going to point out an interesting little feather over here. And this one belongs to a helmeted guinea fowl. There's quite a large number of them that came down towards the water this morning, and we could see their tracks. So generally, when they do come to the water, they walk in a single file line. So you'll normally hear them call as well. And the typical call that they do as they approach water is something like this. And slowly they all make their way down to water. So it's also one of the great birds that you can use for an indicator of water if you are lost in the veld. The other species like herons, as well as geese and ducks, are also brilliant indicators of water. And obviously also species such as a hammerkop is a great indicator of where you can potentially find water. Some say that you can also follow sandgrass. However, I do not agree, because some species of sandgrass will actually fly up to 80 kilometers to and from a water body to go and collect water. They generally soak it up in their chest and belly feathers, and then they take it back to the nest to provide that water to the chick. Just to come back to our feather, there's a few things I just want to quickly point out of here. For those of you that haven't seen a guinea fowl, there's our guinea fowl over here. This is one of 2 species which occurs in southern Africa, and this one is known as a helmeted guinea fowl. There we go, there's a little track. So one of the things that we will notice with guinea fowls is that they actually have a hind toe compared to other ground bird species such as shikori-bustard and red-crested koran, which has no hind toe. And the reason is these birds are entirely ground-dwelling, while the guinea fowl also roosts up in trees quite often. Especially at night time, they move into trees so that they can be safe off the ground from potential ground predators such as jackals, leopard, and a number of others. But they still do fall prey occasionally to birds such as giant eagle owl, also known as a Vero's eagle owl. One of the things that I find particularly interesting about guinea fowls is that they've actually been exported in large numbers to Brazil in the past, where they're actually referred to as Ngala chickens. And the eggs is quite a delicacy over there. We also find that guinea fowls have been exported to the United States in the last few years, and they've been released in areas where there's high amounts of Lyme's disease. As they feed on ticks, as well as grain, they'll predominantly choose to feed on the ticks because of a higher protein yield in it. And in that way, they've actually bring down Lyme's disease in those areas.
Yeah, so we're just moving across again. You'll be surprised. We might see us cross that riverbed again, because it's so strange that riverbed, it's not flowing when it comes down. It's not going in a straight line, so it's very windy, of which sometimes it's confusing. You may notice or think it's a different riverbed, but what we do, we try to check every single crossing on that riverbed to see if we can pick up any fresh signs of animals that we can follow up on. Maybe they've been moving during the day or late mornings after when we've been through these areas, of which that's what it's good because we've been driving through these crossings in the morning trying to find some lambs, but we had no luck. So driving back the same road sometimes it's always good, because if you happen to pick up tracks, you'll know they're on top of your vehicle tracks that you've driven that road that morning and there was nothing like that. So we just moved away from that one section of that riverbed and we're heading away from that towards another section of that riverbed and check that area, see if we can find any fresh signs. But we're still, driving around, see what we can find. Let's hope to find some fresh catch tracks like leopards, maybe lions that we can follow up on. I'd love to see buffalo because I haven't seen buffalo. Can't remember when last I saw buffalo bulls, not the head, of which the head will be always nice to see, because proud of lions sometimes will follow these buffalo heads and try separate one and go for it. So let's hope to find a head of buffalo somewhere in this area and then sit and watch this head. Maybe there'll be proud of lions behind them. So you never know. Yeah, still hoping to find any fresh signs, maybe head of buffalo. It will be really nice if we can find a head and sit and watch them, because this time of the day, if we happen to find a head of buffalo, they will be still resting for the day, because it's a bit warmer now, which has changed all of a sudden, and then they might wait until it starts cooling down, then the animals will start to move. So as prides of lions are big in this area, they think really big to feed them all. So they'll follow these heads of buffaloes, lie down, distance away from them and keep an eye on them. As soon as the animals, they'll follow them slowly and then catch one maybe if they're lucky. Yeah, while we're trying to see what we can find, we'll go over to Jonty in Juma.
Thank you, Dyke. I hope you don't run into any buffalo. I hope you just see them. That will be much more comfortable. So we are now we're probably sort of 10 minutes from that area where the young male leopard was found this morning. But we're just checking. We know his mom, she's been moving up and down this drainage line, goes all the way to Leopard Dam. So we just thought we would come and have a look and go slowly catch the monkey, as the saying goes. But it's still quite warm. I'm sure this leopard will be from where Ali and Morgan left him. Let's go see what bird Ali's found.
Well, we've heard that Jonty is a bit of a bird snub, so I don't think he'd be too impressed with our bird. We have a magpie shrike that we're looking at. It's a fairly common species of bird in the area, and they have a very pretty call, but they're normally in pairs, but this one is all by itself. So I wonder where the rest of its flock is and why it's standing there. Maybe it's just sunbathing for a little bit, but it made it for a very pretty silhouette, especially with that clear blue sky behind it. We haven't had too many of those lately, so it's quite lovely to just have the contrast of colors of the blue and the blacks and so on. Now, I would imagine it's gonna go look for the rest of its flock. Often they come down on the grass, and then it's quite funny because their tail just kind of gets in the way, and then they're going down. Oh, they're going down, and then their tail just stays up, all tangled in the grass. Not too much to report here. I don't think this bird is particularly interested in doing much, so we're gonna leave him and carry on. Lots of hyena tracks on this road as well.
I just want to try to work out fitness,
Alrighty, let's have a look around here, see what's happening. See if maybe we get lucky with Tavangumi in this area, although apparently he was in Manyaleti. And so were the wild dogs that unfortunately Jonty was set on looking for this morning. But maybe they'll carry on coming this way, which we like. All they have to do is just carry on coming to us, and then we can see them for a day, and then they can move on. Pretty nice, this open area. Or, I mean, a little bit more open than in some other spots that we've seen. Where should we go? Right or left? Almost feel like maybe we should go back this way. And then we can come back up. I think there's another road down there. We shall try our luck. We are in Buffelshoek, so we're just busy exploring some of the areas, see how far we can push our signal luck. Oh, is this a leopard track as well? But thankfully this one looks like an older leopard track up here. Oh, maybe there's another one down there. Doesn't seem like it though. I think there's a tractor that's been driving about here. And judging by the tire track, somebody's seen this track already, so I don't think it's a particularly fresh track. Jamie, not sure what flower I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping to see all of them because they're actually very pretty. But there's one that I just enjoy because I feel like it's got the most arrogant name for a flower in the world. And the flower is called the scientific name is the Gloriosa superba, which is like the superb glorious. It's the scientific name for a flame lily, which is actually a very toxic plant, and it's called a flame lily because it almost looks like a flame. It's normally of a very bright yellow or red color, and it just hangs like this. I don't have any photos of it to show you, but it's a very beautiful flower. And it's more of a creeper actually, so you find it scattered all around the bush and in different areas. So I think that's the one that every time I see every year I giggle just because of the name. Sometimes the scientific or the Latin names don't really tell you too much. I mean, they're always very descriptive, but in some cases they just get it just right, and then even the scientific name makes you laugh a little bit. So I'm hoping to see a few of those. I've seen them in Juma before. And then other than that, don't know if I've got a favorite flower actually if I think about it. I mean, the hibiscus should be around, and the pavonias will be here, and maybe the lion's eyes, and what other flowers? Let me think. Well, the sedges and things will also have their little flowers. The Wiltherias, of course. What other flowers? The wild violets are also very pretty. The Valerias, I don't know if I've mentioned those ones already. What else? What other flower? In general, as much as I like flowers, I don't really like the way that they smell. For most of the flowers, the wild jasmine also, for some reason I cannot tolerate the smell of jasmine. I'm not a fan. But I know that many people do enjoy it and they like that smell. So if you do, then the time of the year is coming where you're going to be able to smell them more often than not. We're gonna continue bumbling about and see if we can come across some more tracks or any creatures for that matter. But while we do that, we'll send you guys across to see the upcoming Fireside chat clip that we've got happening tomorrow with Janti and I.
While the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting. Flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung Fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're sitting at the Leopard Dam and doing a little bit of birding this afternoon. And at the moment, we're looking at a little grebe, also known as a Dabchick. It's one of the three smallest species of grebes in southern Africa. And it's just caught a fairly big fish. And it seems as if it's already digested it or ingested it. Yep, it's been swallowed. It's just amazing when you watch many of the fish-eating bird species, how they actually will swallow it head first to prevent that the spines will actually damage the throat and the intestines. But one of the things that I do find particularly interesting with grebes is that they will actually often pluck out their own feathers and ingest that too. And that will help with that hard exoskeletons of insects as well as the spines of fish will be stuck inside there to prevent further damage. And then that pellet will be regurgitated. There's a few other things I also find particularly interesting with them, is that their feet is very far, set back very far, and this allows them to propel themselves through the water very effectively. If you also look at the feet, they are lobed, which allows for a very smooth forward movement of a foot, but when the foot comes backward, that it actually provides a maximum propulsion to move forward. We also find that they can barely walk when they're actually on land. It's quite comical to watch him if they try and walk on land. It seems as if he's just disappeared there behind that little island now. Good afternoon, Fitz Elephant, and welcome to the show. The bird that I probably think that is the longest migration in terms of South Africa, which I often see actually on the coastline, is actually Antarctic tern. It comes to my mind. It's also a bird that actually enjoys more sunlight than any other species. And if I remember correctly, they do sometimes up to a 36 to 42,000 kilometer round trip in terms of migration routes. It also depends where in South Africa you are. Quite often we also find a lot of birds coming from the high Arctic areas, which will come in over winter in South Africa during our summer months and enjoy all the food that's available, and then make their way back. Some of the fastest flying birds I can think of in terms of migration records, there was a record of one of the godwits that actually migrated from Greenland all the way to South Island in New Zealand. And I think it was in a record of almost 7 days that those birds actually migrated that distance. We're just going to see what else is going to pop up, hopefully with the temperatures that are increasing slowly this afternoon. We're going to have some more animals coming in for a drink.
Hi, we are Yaku and Milani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Ngala. It is obviously, I think for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
I think sometimes you need just to listen. So it's a kind of taking out all that other spirit and bring back wilderness and healthy. Bushwalk and trek and sign. I'm sure I'm good at that. I spend most of my time on the ground since I was a young boy, so I think I'm good with that. Actually, I'm not much nervous of any category. Just take it as it is. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on what the judges are looking at. So chances are 50-50 on my side. I'm not... Obviously, when you go for a competition, you say you win.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Welcome back to Juma, everybody, with Darren and John. So we're pretty close now to where Ali and Morgan told us that they left the young male. Checking all of the shady spots where he could be lying. This is where we found him the other day, the other evening, but unfortunately we didn't have signal.
Yeah, we're still heading down this road, but we haven't come up with any fresh signs of any animals that we can follow up on. Still hoping that something is gonna come up for us. As you can see, we're just traveling through this vegetation of long grass and some of the trees that have lost their leaves, unlike the previous section where we were. So we've just moved further up in the hill, hoping to see something in this different vegetation type, of which different animals for different vegetation, maybe a head of elephants around here, because most of these trees that looks like they're dead, they're mostly combritums, of which they've just lost their leaves, and elephants this time of the year, because of so much dry grass, this is when they uproot most of these trees and eat the roots from the trees because they contain more moisture. They even break the twigs, and you'll watch them eating some of the softer twigs from these bush willows. Sometimes they'll break a big piece of branch and you see them twisting the branch through their mouth and peeling the bark off that branch and take the bark off and throw the rest off, which is really interesting to watch elephants doing that. You'll think they'll chew the whole branch, but how carefully they do that, I find it very interesting, because you'll just put the whole branch in his mouth and all of a sudden you see the branch rolling from one side to the other, and at the end the branch will just drop. So that's what they'll do almost the rest of the day. But today, because it's a bit warmer, you might find a herd of elephants standing grazing with this grass. Even though it's dry, sometimes they'll stop to just have a bit of a rest on the shade of the tree and graze on whatever grass is going to be at the base of the tree by the shade. So we're just hoping to, while we're looking to see if we can find any lion tracks or leopard tracks, maybe find some nice elephant heads grazing and browsing through these combritums that we're looking at now. So we're just gonna check this road and see if we can find anything really interesting that we can follow up on. Yeah, let's hope something is gonna come up for us this beautiful afternoon, because it is a beautiful day, beautiful light of the day. To see something in this light, it will be really, really nice. Let's hope we'll find something that we can see. Maybe, because there was no vultures circling around this morning, maybe I'd see some vultures, you never know, because it was a bit overcast this morning for the vultures to take off. But in this heat, there is enough current or thermal up in the sky that can take them way up there, and then they'll go look for the food. If the lions are at the carcass, they might want to try and get something to eat before the sun goes down. Let's hope we'll see some vultures circling around here and watch where they're gonna go down, and we'll quickly go have a look there. If there's no fresh signs of lions on this road, if we happen to see vultures going down, that will be a good sign, because they will be definitely going after something, because this is the area where we last saw the tracks and they didn't come out of any of these blocks. So we're just hoping that they may have come out after us this morning while we driven these roads after morning safari, and then we're hoping that the lions or a leopard walked over our vehicle tracks. So let's hope to see tracks and maybe spend another 10-15 minutes. If we don't have any luck, then let's go look for something else, because lions, leopards are not the only species that exist in this reserve. We might see some elephants, we might see other species of animals in the reserve, because we do have lots of general game like giraffe, zebra, kudu. That's what we can look out for. Maybe listen to alarm calls along that dry riverbed again as the river goes all the way west. So we're moving in again to that beautiful vegetation of the guari bushes, and hoping that we may pick up something around here. Maybe listen to alarm calls from some of the prey species like wildebeest. As you can see, this is a nice and open area where the wildebeest would like to hang out, more especially the bulls, because they're territorial because of no migration on the southern part of Africa. This is where wildebeest bull would like to hang around, maybe with other species like impalas, because it's much more open. They can see. So even though it's warm, they might want to lie down on the shade of these guaris and rest until it starts cooling down, and then the animal will start to graze again, maybe till late evenings, and settle down in this area for the night. So if it happens to be a predator that's walking through this area, if there is some wildebeest and impalas, you'll definitely hear them alarm calling and quickly move into that position and see what's worrying them. But sometimes you'll rely on those impalas. I'd say the kudu is more reliable once they're making alarm call. But impalas, because it's just sometimes the rams sparring, they'll make this false alarm, and then you go out there and try, see what's worrying them. You find it's just two impala rams fighting, and every now and then they'll make the false alarm, just trying to scare off the predators that's in the area, that they see them while they don't. So kudu will be more reliable. So that's why I was driving along that riverbank. This is where I will go on another section again, because once we hear kudu barking sound, like alarming along that dry riverbed, will definitely Jessica, I haven't seen that, but yeah, you never know. When lions, most especially young males at the nomadic stage, they can come this far, but I haven't seen lions that came all the way from Juma, because these animals are territorial, so they try not to overlap each other's territory, because they'll fight till death sometimes. But I know a few years ago we had the Birmingham boys that left here and went all the way past Juma into the Sabi sands around Kekman's area, which is quite far from here. That's just because they were nomads and they didn't have a territory. So that's the reason they went all the way down, and they ended up becoming big males, and they took over the territory from other males down there. But otherwise, they try not to overlap each other's territory. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I'm just gonna carry on down and hope to hear some alarm calls, maybe vultures, or pick up fresh signs of anything. So yeah, that's the plan for the next 15-20 minutes, and then maybe if we don't have any luck, we might move out of this area, try see if we can find something else. Maybe just after when the sun has gone down, we might get to hear these lions roar in one of these blocks. Or if they ate the carcass, you never know, hyenas might start getting together and move into that area and try chase the lions away. So yeah, while we're trying our luck on finding any fresh signs, we will go back to Juma and see what Ellie is looking for.
Well, we have had some lions come from the Timbavati, which is an area that's not too far away from Juma is. The Avokas come from the Avoka farm, or the Avoka males. That is in the Timbavati. So technically not Engala, but closer to Engala than it is to here. And it seems like with male coalitions in particular, we've had sort of like a flow that happens with them. They come from the Timbavati, then they go into Kruger, then they come to Juma, and they just then move off further south into what we have dubbed now the retirement village. It seems like all of the male lions end up living around Londolozi and the Sand River, or the vast majority of the ones that come into this area anyway. So the Birminghams were also this way. They came from the Birmingham farm, which I suppose is where the Birmingham Pride originates from. So yeah, we've seen some of the lions from there come onto this area. Not at the moment though, not currently that I can think of. We don't have any lions that have come from there here that I've seen. But thankfully, because we are in an open system, then it does happen that lions will flow from one property to the next and one area to the next. So the good thing about having an area as big as the Greater Kruger is that it allows animals more space to move and migrate and then disperse, which is very important, because without that additional space, then a lot of the animals wouldn't even be able to sustain themselves. It's the problem when you've got closed systems or reserves, you have to do population controls, because you can't just let animals breed all the time, because unfortunately you're going to have an overpopulation. And in terms of carnivores, they might just eat all of your prey species, which will be detrimental to themselves as well, because once they finish eating all those prey species, then what are they going to eat? Sorry, I just thought I saw a leopard track, but I am mistaken. I don't think it was any track of any sort. I'm seeing things now, but just in case, I'm going to double check. So yeah, so in areas or in reserves where you've got a limited amount of space, then you'll have to do population control, either by contraceptives or putting contraceptives of the females, for example, in the case of lions, or trying to sell off the younger individuals. That also does happen. Once they reach the maturity age, they are sold off to other farms that might be looking to diversify their gene pool. Or if not, unfortunately, in some reserves they're even put down, because nobody, if they can't find a suitable home for them, then it becomes a problem.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just found a little interesting fruit right over here, and this is a horned cucumber that we have found. So the scientific name for this is cucumis, which refers to cucumber, and the scientific name for the species is Meteoriformis, which means like tiny little pyramid, because of the spines that occur on the skin of this to protect it. It seems as if it's been pecked open by either a number of by birds, or maybe opened up by rodents, and the seeds of the inside has been eaten out. What I do find particularly interesting is that these fruits can come forth in a toxic as well as a non-toxic form. The toxic form generally tends to taste bitter, while the palatable form is sweeter in taste. The sweet palatable form is also grown and is commercially sold as under the name of kiwano fruit. I haven't had them before from a shop. I have tasted these in the past, they're pretty good. One of the things that I do find interesting is that people often ask us, how do we separate toxic and non-toxic plants? So there's a few little things that we can do. Firstly, we can smell it. And if we get smells of almond or any bitter aromas that are coming from there, or any floral aromas such as jasmine, we immediately know that we mustn't consume that plant. Then what we can also do is we can take a small little part of that plant, and we can actually rub it on the inside of our hand, where the skin is fairly soft. If we have an allergic reaction right over here on the soft skin, then we immediately will discard this and not eat it. If there's none, you can secondly take the fruit, put it on the tip of your tongue. If there's any bitter aftertaste that you then experience or burning taste, then it's best not to eat it. My advice as well, if you do decide that it's edible, the plant that you are looking at, is that you will then only eat a smaller little amount. Quite often our stomachs aren't used to a number of different fruits, which is out here. And in a survival situation, strange fruits can set up diarrhea, which means a far greater loss of fluids in your body.
Welcome back on the vehicle with John T and Dazza. So we've been working that last area of Marips, the young male leopard. He was not on the termite mound where Ali left him. So we've come just a little bit closer to a watering hole, and we actually lost signal, but we've regained signal on this pretty epic rock. It's called First Rock, and fortunately there's some giraffe for us to look at. But this drainage line that's down on our left, it runs all the way to the dam, and I think it's a perfect place for Marips to move in that drainage line. You know, he'll stay pretty well concealed. He could practice stalking things. I'm sure that's what he's up to.
Guinea fowl.
Can you see a guinea fowl?
No, I'm tuning.
Oh, yeah. Darren's saying he could be stalking guinea fowl, practicing for birds. Franklin's maybe. So I actually just want to sit here for a little bit. Maybe 10 minutes or so, and see if we get any sort of alarm call. At the moment it's pretty quiet. I'm surprised he moved far from where he was, because it was an epic spot. Lots of shade, dry riverbed close by. But maybe something got his attention. I do think he's going to have to start hunting pretty soon, because the way his mom was reacting to him the other night, she doesn't look so excited to have him around anymore. I see another vehicle working the other side of the drainage line there. I could only assume they're also looking for this leopard. I must say, we are spoilt having the multiple feeds, because it gives us the time and the freedom that we can just sit here and see if we get an alarm call or something alerts us to his presence or his movement. If we had guests on the car, it's quite tough to just sit here in the sun and look at the trees. Benny, it's a good question. So there actually are more giraffes there. They're just super camouflaged, but you do often find, especially males, off by themselves. So there's that one there, and then if Darren goes to the left quite a bit, you might see the other two. But giraffes protect themselves by kicking. They've got a really, really powerful kick. One sort of kick in the right place could definitely end a leopard or lion's breathing pattern. It's hard, even that one guy a little bit further left.
I can't see my screen.
Zoom right out and then I'll direct you in. So go further to the left. That's the... While we try to find the giraffe, it's there in the picture. Go down a bit. That's the top of its head. You're going to head over to Ali and see what she's up to.
Well, I'd like to show you guys something interesting that's happening here as a way of trying to protect certain trees or certain big trees from elephants. You look up in front of us. Sorry, I've just got to disconnect myself quickly just to go and show you guys. So if you look around this Marula tree, this one over here and that one over there have got it. They've put a wire around the tree. So this is obviously not done by anything other than a human being, but they've put the wires trying to leave them somewhat loose in certain areas, although this one looks like quite an old one because the tree has grown onto it, to try and prevent the elephants from coming and damaging them. As we know, elephants like feeding on the bark or the inner layer of the tree, which is called the cambium layer, especially of Marula trees. And they come and then they just use their tusks like this to get the bark out, just to get to the bottom layer, and then they start stripping the bark of the tree. So if they do it a little bit, it's not a problem, but if they do it and they ring bark everything around the tree, then that layer underneath the bark, which is the dead layer of the tree, then it's going to die. It's going to dry out, and then it's going to cause the tree to die. So because we've got a fair amount of elephants all around the area, then we've come up with all sort of ideas and creations to try and deter elephants from actually doing so. One of the things that they're doing is putting these wires in between the branches just to make it more difficult and more annoying for elephants to get their tusks inside and then try to rip it apart, because even if they got their tusks, then the metal would be here and it would be annoying, and then the next one and the next one and next one. So it's not something that it's feasible to do in all of the trees that we've got in the area, especially not all of the bigger ones, but it can help to deter them from just targeting certain species of trees like big marulas or perhaps big north knobthorns, which is what they seem to have enjoyed eating this year. Heather, the wire wouldn't actively hurt the elephant. The elephants would know that there's a wire around the tree that would make it more difficult for them to rip the bark off the tree. So there is always an added risk that if an elephant does come and decides to rip off the wire, that you might find the wire lying somewhere around in the bush. But judging by the level of rust and how tightly packed these wires are around the tree, I think this has been on the tree for a while, and it's just the tree has carried on growing and it's just making the wire a little bit tighter. So for now, I think we've actually got to be more careful of the wire not hurting the tree and getting in the way of its growth than what it would actually do to annoy the elephant. And you can see the one, if you see the one on the left, because you can't see it on the one on the right, there are two marulas here with the wires. The one on the left at the bottom, you can see where some of the elephants have perhaps tried to ring bark the tree before. So that's all being covered to prevent the elephants from actually doing it any further and to allow the tree to carry on growing. Like I said, it's impossible. It wouldn't be feasible to put a wire around all of the marula trees all around the Greater Kruger National Park, because we do have a lot of marula trees and a lot of elephants, and you would need a lot of wire. But at least to try and prevent them from getting some of the bigger trees seems to be a somewhat effective method in some areas. Although, to be honest, if an elephant wants to get to something and desperately wants it, there are not many things that would deter an elephant from just doing whatever it is that it wants to do. So we've got these two marulas here, and there's a third one down the road that I can see that's also got it, but you don't see it everywhere. Jen, still, yes, the bark of the tree is not primordial, or it's not one of the most important things for a diet of an elephant. They do eat the bark of the tree, especially in the drought or in the dry seasons, because then in that layer, which is a red layer under the bark of the tree, you have a lot of sugars and a lot of water. So elephants have learned that if they rip them, especially in times when they're having some sort of nutritional stress. Oh, sorry, let me turn this down. If they've got some sort of nutritional stress, the bark of the tree can help compensate for that stress or alleviate that stress in a way, because of all the nutrients that are going up and down. But if you have too much of a heavy drought and too many elephants targeting the same species of tree, then it also becomes detrimental for that particular species of tree in an area. So it's a bit of both, trying to protect both the trees and the elephants. Righty. Got no leaves. Hopefully soon, though. Hopefully we'll start seeing lots of leaves in the marula trees, and then of course as soon as the leaves come and start producing the fruit, then we're going to have elephants all around enjoying the fruit. Now, not all of the marula trees produce fruit. The trees are either male or female, you need to cross-pollinate the two of them, and it's just the female trees, the ones that are going to bear the fruit.
while the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting, flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung Fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Yeah, the plan is now to go towards one of the water hole and see if we can find something busy drinking there. But while we're on the way there, we're still hoping to find any fresh signs of either lions or leopards down this road. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna carry on driving down this road and hope to find any fresh tracks of lions or leopards before we get to the water hole. So I need to focus a lot on watching down on the road so I don't miss out on tracks, because that's the most reliable thing. So if you don't find tracks down this road, you'll hardly know where to start looking for these animals that we're trying to find. So this is what I'm gonna be doing most of the time, checking down this road and see if we can pick up any tracks and listen out for maybe alarm calls. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna keep saying much. I just wanna focus on driving down this road and see if I can pick up tracks and maybe hear some alarm calls along this road. So this is one of the roads that we haven't driven this afternoon, so we're just gonna carry on, check down here on our way to the water hole and see what will be there. And some impalas just down the road. As you can see, there's one male there with all the females, excuse me, of which the animals might be heading towards that water hole that I've just mentioned, unless they've just been there and they're moving away from that. Obviously, where we are, there's no predators because these animals won't be as relaxed as they are. As you can see, they look a bit relaxed. It's nothing that's worrying them, so we're just gonna slowly drive past them and carry on down towards the waterhole. If they heading down to drink, we might as well see them drinking there. Or if they've been, we'll see the tracks that's leading away from the waterhole. Maybe lucky there, get something else drinking by the water. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's carry on down the road. Can see these beautiful trees there, hoping that a leopard will be sitting on one of the branches, but nothing there. It will be a really nice tree to have a leopard watching those impalas back there, and that animal will know exactly where to go when they come down the tree. So there's nothing in that tree that we've just driven past, so we're just gonna carry on down towards that little waterhole that's up ahead down the road. Maybe around the corner there'll be something before we get to the water. As I know, sometimes these animals can move anywhere, especially starting. Yeah, Atlanta, I'll prefer to trek. If I have to, I'll look for Birmingham Pride, because I like to see these white lawns, which are very rare to see if I happen to see anything. That's why I'm hoping to find tracks of lions, and that pride will be to be Birmingham Pride, so we can follow them, because I haven't seen the white ones for the last couple of days. I mean, most especially the young females. So just hoping that we can find tracks of them and follow up on those animals. This is the little waterhole that I was talking about. I'm just gonna go down here and have a look around if there's no signs of these animals that we're trying to look for. If they didn't come here to drink, if they didn't, we will carry on down the road and hope to find any fresh signs of them. So what I'm gonna do, I'll quickly go down and have a look around this waterhole and see if there's no sign of these animals.
Well, if I had to choose an animal to track, it would be lions. I love their big tracks. They're very cool, and I just enjoy tracking them. I don't know, maybe it's the fact that you could potentially bump into them and they might growl at you or flick their tail if you don't do it properly. I find it quite thrilling. I don't enjoy tracking leopards all that much. I can't say that I've got a logical reason for it. I think maybe I just don't like, or when I used to guide at the lodges, I didn't particularly love all the people that were tracking leopards all the time, so I would just kind of leave them to do their own thing, as they always had to be tougher than everybody else and had to tell everybody else how cool they were because they were tracking leopards. So I just let them to the leopards and I just looked for the lions. Rhinos are also pretty cool to track on foot, especially because you can get quite close to them when you're on foot if you've got the right conditions, and they're generally not aware that you are there, which is pretty nice. So I think those would be my top two. Yeah. Those would be the top two. Morgan, which animals do you like tracking? Impalas that hunt crocodiles. Morgan just had this wide-eyed face like, I don't know, why are you asking me these things? So apparently impala that hunt crocodiles are Morgan's thing. We were commenting earlier, at least today we can see the mountains in the distance. We're just gonna carry on bumbling about, see if we can find anything else, maybe go back to some of the leopard tracks we had earlier. In the meantime, we'll send you guys across to JP at Pridelands.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just found a very young giraffe and a cow. And what I noticed of a cow is that the birth canal was actually ruptured. And this little young one must probably have been born in the last few days, as the wound is still fresh. Let's see what is going to happen over there. There's quite a lot of oxpeckers that's surrounding it, most likely because there's a large amount of ticks as well as other parasites that is on that area where it has been injured during the birth. One of the things that I find particularly fascinating about giraffes is that they carry for an incredibly long period of time, and they carry for approximately 475 days, and they also drop the calf at approximately a height of 1.5 meters. And that drop actually enables it to break the umbilical cord as well as to trigger the animal so that it can take its first breath. One of the other things I also find particularly interesting is about young giraffe, is how they are not in proportion in terms of neck and the body size and leg size compared to the adults. And one of the reasons why is that they have to be able to fit underneath the female to reach the udders. And they're also approximately 1.5 meters in height when they are born. They're also not born with those little horns in the upright positions. Those only become fused once that after that the giraffe has been born. Otherwise it would have led to the obstruction of the birth canal. Good afternoon, Mango. Yes, he's incredibly cute and he is quite small still. So I reckon he's only a few days old by the looks of it. And I was actually trying to see if the umbilical cord is still underneath the belly. Quite often that's one of the things that we notice with giraffes that has been born in the last few days. Unfortunately, he's just been in a position the whole time where the belly is remaining hidden with vegetation, so that we can't make a deduction of roughly how long ago he has been born. For a young giraffe like this, they're also incredibly vulnerable at this period of time, and what we also find is that they're very dependent on the mothers for looking out for potential threats. And they reckon that up to 50% of all giraffe calves gets taken in their first year, mostly by lions. A few weeks ago, we've also had an interesting sighting where we actually had a leopard that took down a young giraffe, which was slightly larger than this one. Eventually, the leopard was chased off his kill, and the hyenas took over and took his kill away. It was also fascinating to watch the female, how she was trying to protect the young giraffe, although it was dead. She was trying there the whole time to chase off the hyena, as well every now and then successfully chasing them, and then trying to nudge it to start getting up. Well, we're going to stick around here a little bit longer and see what our giraffes get up to. Let's go and see what Jonty is up to.
Welcome everyone, we are actually at Leopard Dam. It's one of the spots we wanted to check for mareeps. But we just thought it was a really great spot to have a silent segment and just enjoy the dam, the giant plated lizard there on the rock, some of the birds. So I'm going to keep quiet now. you just enjoy it. It looks like there's a yellow-fronted canary. Hold on, you stay where you are. So that log, if you come back towards us, and to the right a little bit. Okay, go back in.
That log?
Go down a little bit. No, wait.
Hey. Check the frame.
Yeah, that's it. See the one on my monitor, the color's not really coming out, but that bird is bright yellow. That is a good question. If you mean on Juma in the Sabi sands, I've actually been very fortunate, but there are lots of animals that I would still love to see. A lot of them that are not on the African continent, but I'd love to see bears, grizzly bears, brown bears, black bears, polar bears, snow leopard, Amur leopard, clouded leopard. I've seen a tiger, saw a Bengal tiger, but I'd love to see a Siberian tiger. In the wild, there's lots of different types of antelope from around the world and different types of deer. It's actually a huge list. Excuse me, I've got to... It's a huge list of the things that I would love to see. But we're just going to sit here a little bit longer, just keep enjoying this silent moment.
Yeah, still going down, searching for any fresh signs, as no luck yet for an update. We checked around that little water hole. There's no sign of those lions or a leopard there. We're just gonna head in the direction of another water hole and see if we can have any luck that side. So let's hope there will be luck for us by that bigger water hole, maybe animals drinking there, elephants, or fresh signs of what we're trying to find, which are the lions, of which willing to find the Birmingham Pride that we haven't seen, including the white ones, for a number of days. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. As you see, we going through this beautiful terrain again, hoping for a leopard up in the tree. That will be really nice, top up to what we're trying to find, if we can find a leopard in one of these trees, especially with a carcass up in the tree, but no luck as yet. So let's hope we'll find something while we're going through before we get down to the water. And this is about time most animals go to drink, because it starts to cool down. This is what the animals will do, go drink and graze until late evenings and lie down for the day. I'm just gonna cross this riverbed and hoping to see some fresh tracks in the sand. So let's keep heading down towards the waterhole and hope for some luck by the waterhole there. See if we can find something and follow up on. Yeah, so there's nothing in this riverbed. I was hoping for elephants digging for water, so I'm just gonna carry on down. Hope we find them drinking by the bigger waterhole where we're heading now. So let's hope something is there for us.
Oh no, he's gone a bit. Oh, there you got him. Darren was being creative, and I thought the lizard had moved. So this giant plated lizard, another one just came out, and it was funny. This one moved over, did a lot of head bobbing, which often in lizards is a bit of a sign of aggression, and then bit the other one's tail, and it ran away. Really, they can be 70 centimeters long, these giant plated lizards. You often find them on these rocky outcrops. But what's quite cool is they're one of the few or only lizards, lizards that actually look after their young, which is pretty cool. Often reptiles, once the sort of eggs either hatch or if they give birth, then that's it, the things are on their own. But these ones actually tend to look after them. Fiona, so they can reach a length of about 70 centimeters, which is pretty big for a lizard. The only ones that are bigger than them out here would be the water and rock monitor lizards. But this one still got quite a ways to go, maybe 70 centimeters. I'd love to know what these sort of lizards and these, because that is such a prime spot to watch this watering hole. Can you imagine what he's seen? Chilling on that rock, come down to drink. But I must say, we're sitting in a little bit of shade here watching this watering hole. And we know that we know the last place where this leopard was. And it's at probably 500 or 600 meters east and slightly south of this watering hole, so it's not far. And as the temperature starts to turn and get a little bit cooler, I do think we're going to have a bit of luck. So I think we are going to stick around in this general area. We might go back again to where he was left and just have another track that will show us the direction he moved off in. But I would love for him to come. Imagine a leopard walking on these rocks. That water in the background, a little afternoon sunset. Then we'd be cooking on gas. I mean, even that leadwood tree that the dam is, I'm assuming, taken its name from, it's got to be a 200-300-year-old tree at least. So it definitely would have been here before that dam wall was built. I'd love to know the stories that tree could tell us. So just checking. And I do want to see if we can show you on the way here. We spotted a zebra that looked like it might have survived a lion attack. It had a big scratch down its rump, which we'll see if we can show you. Look at how that lizard's lying. Oh, Ellie, it sounds like she's had a bit of luck with a cat. So please go and see what she's up to.
Well, fairly excited to... I mean, I feel like this is a double win and a bit of a lose as well. But we are looking at Tavangumi, which we're very excited about because it's not a leopard that we've been seeing a lot lately. He's been hanging around the eastern part of our traverse. So he's been in and out on Manialeti and on Buffelshoek, mainly on Buffelshoek because we can't really go see him in Manialeti. And he's now resting on top of a termite mound. Not the best spot we know, but we're kind of hoping that he'll eventually make his way towards the dam if it's pretty hot. Can't really reposition too much because then we're going to lose signal, but it's pretty cool to be able to see him here. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's a win and a lose at the same time is because technically speaking, Morgan and I didn't find him. Tristan and Mike found him, but we called it in the tracks. And then I got a lot of flack back from Tristan saying that he was seen this morning in the Manialeti and that it was very likely that I was looking at the wrong stuff. So, although I lost, I also won. So I'm going to go with it's a draw right now. Even though if he's just decided to go down to sleep. The good thing is that we don't really have anywhere else to be in, and this is not a cat that we see all that often, so we're going to wait for a while, see if maybe he gets up and starts moving again. He was moving in the middle of the day. This morning, as I was saying, he was just seen in the Manialeti, and then he's just moved from Sintonese Dam all the way up to Hardekool Dam. It's basically where we are at now. And he's done this in between the morning drive and the afternoon drive, or before... the afternoon drive started, which just goes to show that animals don't really read the books that we write about them. And although we tend to define leopards as crepuscular creatures, they can actually do whatever they want whenever it is that they want to do it, including moving during the hot part of the day. I'm not sure what possessed him to leave Manialeti. He was in a nice spot, but perhaps because it was cool until about maybe 1 or 12 o'clock this afternoon, he just decided to come and then just be here. unruly. Seems like all the boys like hanging out in termite mounds lately and then just hiding. I mean, I wonder what the girls are up to. We really need some female backup over here with all these leopards, because the boys are having the good life. I mean, we've found Tortoispan, Maribs this morning, and now Tavangumi. They're all resting on top of the termite mounds, hiding away from the world. Which is great, but also, I feel like maybe the girls would also give us a very nice view. This is me just rooting for, you know, the female group side of things. I'm also very excited to be able to see Tavangumi. It's also been a while. Hopefully he'll be able to give us much better views than this one. I'm kind of hoping that he'll move up and then just come onto the dam. There's a lot of water here, not so much water in other places. So fingers crossed we'll be able to see him, or to have a clearer visual of him when he comes down from the termite mound and then decides to come up the dam and then go have a drink. That's what dreams are made of. I mean, we looked at an Impala today that we were not too sure if it was going to survive the attack of the crocodile, and she did. So we might just get lucky with Tavangumi too. A girl can only dream. Not sure if he's moving his head. I thought he was just moving his head and maybe repositioning, but seems like he's having a pretty chill day. I'm glad we can finally have some of the custody back from Manuleti. It seems like that's where he's been hanging out mostly, or in the last couple of days, because he also hasn't been seen much by the guys in this area. However, he seems to enjoy the Hardical Dam. He's been around here every time that he's been sighted. It's always in and out of the drainage lines and close to the dam. So he obviously knows where the good things are, and this is where he comes.
There's nothing to report. Except everything at Big Dam. You got something at Big Dam? Enormous elephants.
the Advanced Rifle Handling Challenge, which is actually lots of challenges in one to gauge the contestants' skills at different distances and different speeds. This is probably the challenge that the contestants are the most nervous about. So let's get them locked and loaded. Are now doing the Hales halt, where they have to run back and forth to a target, turn, take aim, and shoot. And this simulates a chase in a real environment and gets the heart pumping and the blood pressure up. James gave us a demonstration, and the skill involved in this exercise is remarkable.
Yeah, so I'm heading down now. If you can, as you can see, we heading downhill. So we're going towards the riverbed, and we're gonna cross onto the other side and check the one road on the southern side of the river and circle around onto the northern side. If we don't come up with anything, maybe just because the roads are a bit drier, we might as well drive the riverbed, which sand is much softer, so we might easily pick up the tracks if these animals have crossed the riverbed. And then if not, there's definitely on something really big in one of these blocks. But towards the end, if they have something in the block, they might finish feeding, because it's now couple of days we haven't seen them. So once they finish eating, they might look for water. Even if we don't get them drinking by the water, if they happen to go tonight, if we go back there and have a look around the water holes, we'll definitely pick up signs of them, and we'll know they came there last night. So that will be a very good sign that will find those animals. So let's hope to find something down here. And then, yeah, good luck for us. Yeah, so we'll try our luck, and we're gonna head down to the other side and see what the guys have found.
Thank you, Dyke. We are still here. We're trying to see if we watch this giant plated lizard long enough, we might see it grow another centimeter in length. There's woodpeckers, there's brews. These birds calling around us. We're very close to the temperature sort of turning. I must say I'm quite jealous that Ali's found Tavangumi, but that's fine. We're going to find Marips. I would love to see old Tavangumi again. Oh, a lilac-breasted roller flew past. Some crested francolins came to have a look at us. handsomely for this patience. Just going to know exactly.
Well, it seems like we're battling some of the gremlins today. We are both on the edges. Jonty's on Torchwood and I'm on Buffelshoek, but at least for now our signal seems to be stable enough so that we've managed to reverse and get more of a view of the body of Tavangumi. And he really does look like a jaguar. He's got very large rosettes and he's got a little dot in most of the rosettes, which is a very typical characteristic of jaguars. I mean, if we weren't in Africa, I would be tempted to say that we're looking at another cat altogether. It's got a very nice long tail too. I can't really see his face. I think his face is half held up, so he's half awake, which would be wonderful. Because then we've got although he's walked quite a distance, so he could just plop down and sleep for the remainder of the drive, but we're kind of hoping that's not going to happen. We want him to move and then just stretch and show us his pretty legs and his pretty face too. Very peaceful spot for a leopard to spend his afternoon. I really think his face is half up. I'm not sure. While we continue to sit with Tavangumi, let's have a look at the upcoming prize that you can win to Phinda.
Calling all WildEarth explorers, we have a new and frankly awesome travel prize for you to win. andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve encompasses an impressive 28,000 hectares of protected wildlife land in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. As you have seen on WildEarth, andBeyond Phinda showcases one of the continent's finest game viewing experiences and is well known for close-up sightings of the elegant yet elusive cheetah as well as the rare black rhino. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 16th of September and you and a friend could be heading to the magnificent Phinda Mountain Lodge where you will spend 3 nights escaping the real world at this ultimate safari location. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
Well, what a wonderful prize. If I was a viewer, I would definitely sign up for WildEarth Explorers to have a chance at winning that prize to go to Phinda. And meanwhile, out on bushwalk, we're busy looking at tracks of buffalo as well as the dung of buffalo. There's quite a large breeding herd of buffalo that's been moving around the different dams over here in the last few days. We were very fortunate to view them earlier this week. Approximately 80 to 100 individuals in that group. And we're trying to find them this afternoon. But so far, no fresh signs of tracks. So the track that we have over here, very round compared to the track we showed this morning of a giraffe, which is much more rectangular in appearance. And then over here, a typical cowpat, which is one of the other telltale signs of buffalo in the area. If you have a look at the track on a closer look, you'll notice that the edges have already crumbled in, which means this track is at least a day or so old. We can also look at the dung, and the outer layer is already hard, and if we break it open, it's still moist on the inside, but not as much moisture as would it have had if it was freshly made. On a cold morning, I generally feel the inside of a dung to see if it's warm. If it's warm, I know that I'm in a track of that buffalo at that point, and that it's worthwhile following up. In this case, very little value of following up on any track that is already old. So we're going to move around here a little bit longer, and hopefully our buffalo will come down to one of the water holes we would like to go and visit this afternoon for our sunset stop for a drink. as we move off, let's go and see what Ali and her leopard is up to.
Well, not too much has happened here. We're still staying put with Tavangumi in the same spot. Too nervous to actually make any movements and just lose all the signal that we've had. Seems like I almost caught everything or my fingers in through the screen. I apologize about that. As I say this, I move. Yeah, I've lost all my words all of a sudden. Threw myself off track right there all by myself. As I was saying, he's been hanging around a lot in between the Manileti area, and he's been spotted around Hardequil quite a couple of times. He does know the area quite well, and I suspect he's moved in here to look for any potential prey species. Sometimes they walk throughout the day like that when they're looking to hunt something. I'm not sure how full he's looking at the moment. It's hard to tell from the distance, but very few things would drive a cat to actually move in the middle of the day other than mating opportunities or perhaps looking for food. It doesn't seem like he was chased by anything from Manileti during the day, so I think because the day was cool, he's just taken his chances and moved off to a different area where perhaps he might have some more hunting opportunities than what he did wherever he was hanging out at. Which we're pretty happy. Prefer to have the leopards in areas where we are almost, or areas that are almost accessible to us. Bobby, I'm not sure why the rosettes are so wide. It's one of his characteristics. He almost wants to look like a jaguar. Maybe he's going to be quite a big boy, but it's also just determined by genetics. All the leopards have a different pattern, and they have a unique coat. So I think we're just looking at a series of unfortunate genetic events that led to him having such big rosettes that have a dot in the middle, just like a jaguar. Makes him quite unique, quite beautiful creature, and he's also very relaxed with the vehicles, which is really nice. Doesn't really run away from us, and he's allowed us to see him. He does come from another game reserve where he was also seen and habituated to vehicles. So, you know, we lost some of our male leopards, and then we've gained some. So at least as long as we carry on gaining beautiful male leopards that are relaxed and allow us to have a glimpse into their lives, very happy to take them on. Even when they sleep. Seems like Dyke has got an animal that's doing more than Tavangumi is, so let's head over to Dyke and see who's feeding on what.
Yeah, this is what's always nice. Like, you'll be looking for something else, all of a sudden you come around the corner and there's something that's there. As you can see here, we just located on this elephant bull that's grazing on the shade of this jackalberry trees. As you can see, there's beautiful light on the background. It's still a bit warmer, so that's why this animal have chosen to graze and browse on the shade of this tree, of which if he was in the sun, even though you see he's flapping the ears a bit, trying to cool himself down, that tells the story that it's a bit warm. He was even going to be flapping more than he's doing now. As you see there, he's just grazing while flapping his ears. And yeah, otherwise this is a elephant bull that's just reached maturity. He can be possibly, behind the rest of the herd, following the herd from a distance. Otherwise, these animals, once they reach maturity, they can be alone like this, because fully matured elephant bull can move from one herd to another for breeding purposes. So if he's not the tail end of the herd, he's possibly moving from one herd and looking for another herd, even though he's not showing a sign of being in must. But bulls like this can move from different herds every couple of days. Yeah, so he may be traveling with other bulls of his age, so you never know, because these animals there must be something really nice there. As you can see, it's just changing direction, facing the other way. And then he may be traveling with other bulls about his age. It's amazing how these animals pick which animal of the same species to travel with. You'll find bulls about the same age traveling together for the same reason, food and water. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this couple of birds making noises on the background, and these birds are following this animal walking through the grass, hoping that he will disrupt the insects from the ground. Just keep looking at this elephant. You might see a bird or two, maybe fork-tailed drongos, that will just go and land on one of the branches above the elephants as they help them to catch the prey. There we go. You can see the drongo that's sitting and waiting peacefully there, hoping to see. He's just what there he goes, just took off from one branch and landed again. He's just keeping an eye on every step that the elephant makes, because that elephant will be helping the bird to catch its meal. So this is what these birds will do. If it's like prey species like impalas, these drongos will follow impalas. They're quite clever, these birds, because sometimes you will hear them making false alarm just to spook the impalas, and they'll run through this grass and disturb the insects, and then he go down and catches them. As you can see, he's just went over there. You see this elephant is backing off now. Might wanna cross the road. It's unlike this another animal like behind just had branches breaking there, so it's like travel together with other animals. Yes, I agree with you. Very majestic, even the way he moves, but these animals sometimes they can be like that, because I'd rather watch a elephant than a sleeping lion. That's why they're very majestic and very beautiful to watch, because they're always doing something. I'm just repositioning the vehicle to see if we can have a better view of him crossing the road. Yeah, so I'd rather watch elephant like this than a sleeping lion, because lions are always sleeping, and you can see these animals moving away from us. You possibly know where the head is, because they got very good sense of smell, hearing as well, and then they can communicate a little bit of a distance away from each other by sound, which sound like a stomach rumbling, of which is a very low frequency, of which the sound that our ears can pick up can travel far, and an elephant can pick that up clearly 4 kilometers apart from each other. So if you look at his forehead, you can see he's got this sort of roundish forehead. And then that's how you can tell the sexes sometimes from a distance besides, yeah, the size. And then females will have this sort of like square forehead. And then, yeah, so he's possibly looking for two things, either water or following the rest of the herd, maybe other bulls that he's moving along with. As we're driving down this road on the banks of this dry riverbed, there might be more animals in the riverbed digging for water. So we'll see if there's more animals as soon as we go down the crossing. As you can see, this animal is disappearing slowly down towards the riverbed, and we're gonna just leave him like that and go down the crossing and hope to find him in the riverbed. Or he's just gonna decide to carry on browsing and grazing along the banks of this dry riverbed. So let's hope this animal will go down, or maybe there's few members or few bulls down the riverbed busy digging for water. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the vehicle and head down towards the crossing and see if we can pick up more animals digging for water in the riverbed. Let's hope to find other animals like the cats besides the elephants in this area. That was cool because we were not expecting to see this elephant down here, but I mean, got surprised by him. Yeah, while we're going down, so we'll go over to Ellie with a leopard and see what the leopard is doing.
Well, not much has changed around here with Tavangumi. He seems to be enjoying his nap, and we are still in the same position waiting for him to get up. And even if he put his head where his bum is now, we would also appreciate the different glance and the different look. Remember, if you want to send us any questions or any comments, we're always happy to answer them while we're here and looking at this beautiful leopard. All of our conversations get a lot richer just by hearing questions from everybody else. We're gonna, while Tavangumi decides what to do, we're gonna send you guys back to Dike at Engala.
Yeah, we're just crossing this riverbed. We're gonna do the other road on the northern bank of this dry riverbed, and there's no sign of that elephant we saw earlier in the riverbed or other bulls that are traveling with him. So we just hope there will be something on this side of the road. Let's hope something is going to be around here. As you can see, it's starting to cool down a bit. So soon the predators will start getting more and more active. I'm hoping the lions or the leopards are gonna start to move, maybe find a pride or a leopard walking down the road. Maybe by the time we get to the water hole, that it's not far from here, there will be lions drinking or other species of animals drinking. That will be really nice. Also, always good to see animals drinking. Let's hope we'll pick up any tracks on this road before the sun goes down and fall up on that, while we have this beautiful light that we can see. So I'm just going to carry on down this road and hope to see or find any fresh signs, but we haven't had any luck, so I'm just wishing myself luck if I can find these cats that I've been trying to look for the whole day today. But they're there. It's just a question of finding one. The sad thing is there's not even vultures that are in the area of which it's very difficult to sort of like look and see if we can follow up on that. So if there were vultures, then we'll definitely know where to go. But I'm just hoping at some stage we'll pick up some signs that will lead us to any of these cats that are hiding somewhere in this bush here, which it's hard to find them, especially, like once we see tracks, we'll definitely know where to go. Even though the grass is so tall, it's gonna be a bit difficult to track these animals and find them in this long grass. But as soon as we find tracks, then we have a bit of a clue, like where to go and look. I'm just gonna keep driving down this road and hoping that something is gonna come up. While I'm driving here, I just keep looking in some of these big trees and hoping that I'll spot a leopard that's sitting in a branch. You know, when you're willing to see a leopard in a tree, sometimes you see branches that looks like one and you get so excited, and all of a sudden you look and it's not one of those, because there's lots of branches and termite mounds that will look like some of those animals that you'll be looking to see. That's what happens sometimes if you're looking so hard to find one of those cats, like lions, leopards. Sometimes you end up seeing a log in a distance or a termite mound and stop and think it was one, but it's not. There is one beautiful lookout point. There is one beautiful lookout point just ahead of us. I'm quickly gonna go in there and look down the riverbed, see if I can see anything lying in the riverbed there.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of hundred meters down the river and was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton. He's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And yeah, we put that Land Cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the toe strap slipped up, and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of the head, and it caught on his ossicones top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We made our way back to Ndlovu Dam in the hope that there's going to be some animals coming to drink. And we really hope that that big herd of buffalo is the one that is going to make their way down here. And meanwhile, there's a grey heron. And at the moment, we can actually just explain or describe this area as picturesque and peaceful. And we're going to provide you with a peaceful moment just to enjoy the environment. Good afternoon, Heather, and welcome to the show. The butterfly migration for the brown vein whites will normally start here by the end of November, early December. That's when you generally see them starting to make their way across the country from the west and then moving into a northeasterly direction out to sea where nobody knows where they go. Good afternoon, Tammy. With regards to your question, how many dams are there? There's an Ndlovu Dam, a Leopard Dam, and then we also have a small little water hole close by to the headquarters. And then there's also another pan that's a seasonal pan, which is referred to as buffalo pan, which unfortunately has no water at the moment. What we also do find is that there's a lot of areas quite close by to drainage lines where there's a lot of clay soil. And when the rain season starts, those all start forming tiny little pans. Some of them are as big as 10 meter, 15 meters in length, and probably 3 or 4 meters wide on average. It's also one of the things that we generally see at the dry season is when animals will start dispersing elsewhere to go and look for water. When it comes to the rain season, that animals will start dispersing to go and look for water elsewhere. and make utilize of different waterholes. However, in the winter months, they concentrate at the only steady waterholes which we have. Seems as if our grey heron is just busy chasing something there. It might actually have caught something. Let's have a look. Yes, he has. It looks like a big fish or a big frog that he's managed to catch there. Normally with these larger herons, they tend to actually stand still and wait for prey to come close by, and then they will actually catch them. While the smaller species of herons tend to be more active in pursuit of prey, especially little egrets. They love chasing things and disturbing them with their feet. Some of the other species, like the green-backed heron or green heron, also known as a striated heron, they've got another trick up their sleeve. They often like to actually lure the prey items closer to them. And what they will do is take food items or feathers or insect remains and throw that in the water to attract the fish within striking distance. One of my favorites is actually black heron, which actually will create a little umbrella over itself and create a shaded effect with that umbrella and attract fish to come in underneath there and then catch the fish which is coming to hide underneath the shade. Good afternoon, Enzel. To answer your question, if there's birds that are vegetarian, there's quite a few of them that will feed on plants only. And one of them that I can think of now, which only feeds on leaves actually quite often, is mouse birds. And they've actually adapted the ability of gaining nutrition out of very low quality foods, such as leaves. But we also see that they have to increase their temperature in different ways to maintain a more constant temperature. So quite often some species of mouse birds will soak their chest and belly feathers, but it becomes darker and then absorb heat by standing directly into the sun. We also find with them at night time, when they lose temperature, they will actually huddle together to maintain a more consistent body temperature. And species like African green pigeon, they only eat on fruits. There's a few of examples which we can provide. However, it doesn't help to only eat on one thing. If you can be a generalist, it's actually far more in your advantage to eat different amount of food types compared to birds that only specialize in a single type of food. We're going to hang around here a little bit longer in the hope that our buffalo is going to come down to come and have a drink, as well as to enjoy a sunset. But in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Jonty is up to.
So we just left that last area we were in. Unfortunately, the signal was very patches O'Houlihan. So we are going to move away. I want to go check Chitwa Dam and see what's happening there. That's produced the goods the last few days. Oh, we are just, the sun is, now it's not so hot. It's providing this beautiful light on everything. And we can just see the majestic Drakensberg right there. And I'm so jealous. My wife and her uncles and my brother and my mother and my children, they're busy having a braai right now, looking at the same mountain, which is pretty cool to think that we can at least see the same mountain, even though we're not together. It's like a small comfort being away from home. We are going to turn onto the main sort of boundary road now, and we are going to be driving straight into the sun for a little bit, and then we'll turn off to go towards Chitwa Dam. How's that sun? Darren is dominating at the back. It's so clear today, you can see so far. There you go, that's Darren's view from the side of the car. Well, you can tell what's better, the back of my head or trees rushing by. What, the trees rushing by? Well, it's certainly better than the front of my head. See the same. I wonder if we'll be so lucky and find an Impala in the middle of the dam. I still can't believe that. That sighting sounded very interesting. Chris, that is a great question, and at first glance they look very, very similar. The Jaguar is much heavier build. According to some of the books, a male Jaguar could weigh as much as a lioness, but would actually be the same shoulder height, around 90 centimeters of a leopard. And I suppose, well, the biggest difference is those are found in South America. They don't overlap anywhere. And by behavior-wise, they're far more aquatic. You often find jaguars swimming in rivers. And now this time of the year, they're actually catching caiman. There's a friend of mine, Nick Clear, who's currently out there in the Pantanal guiding trips. And he got a ridiculous sequence of photographs of a jaguar that had jumped into the river, caught a caiman, and then dragged it right up the bank and went and ate it. I mean, it's ridiculous. The other slight difference, if you look at their coats, the leopards have rosettes and some spots sort of lower down on the legs normally, but generally on their back it's rosettes. Jaguars have got similar rosettes, but they've got spots inside the rosette, so a slightly different coat pattern. And sorry, I was just checking something there on the road. And their tails are a lot smaller. The leopard's got quite a thick, strong tail. The jaguar's tail seems a little bit more puny. But I'm desperate. I'm constantly talking to guests to try and get them to get on a trip, and let's go. I'm ready. So if anyone wants to come with me, let's go. We're going to go look at jaguars, and then we will know the difference. So we're going to carry on now down this boundary, and we're going to take Mwanini towards Chitwa. That's our plan.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're still waiting for some animals to come down for a drink, but in the meanwhile, we're going to provide you with a silent segment on the dam so you can enjoy the sounds of nature and the peaceful settings. We're apparently live and I can't hear them asking questions, anything.
I can't hear this egg.
Live.
Look at this, everybody. We're very lucky. We just took a chance and actually bumped into a vehicle with what seems to be shasha. Beautiful. Oh wow, coming straight at us. Let me just reposition. I'm just going to try to position us so that both us and the other vehicle can have a look. He almost looks like he wants to come on this path here. He's actually sniffing there by some hippo dung. You might find he might actually roll in it. I've just told the car they can go to have a look. We'll just reposition. Are you getting any comms, Dazza? Okay. Oh, this might look quite cool with the dust. Look at that dust. Yeah. Beautiful, huh? Wow, with that light on the back of him. Yeah, this is certainly a Catidae. I hope he stays kind of... If he goes a little bit more that way, it gets a little bit thick. Well, let's just see what he does. He's clearly sniffing around. I mean, he's changed direction completely. He was walking 100% south. I'm just going to move so this other vehicle can get a view. Let's see what we can get here. I'm going to take a chance and just go a little bit ahead of him and see if we can get him walking towards us. There's a road here. He's smelling something. I wonder if there was maybe another leopard here or... What is he up to? him now. But he was just sniffing around. Oh, there he is there. He's coming on our left. Darren's got him there. We might get super lucky and have him walking straight towards us. Yo, look at that, hey? Yeah, something's definitely got... He's following a scent of something here. You see, he keeps sniffing. So we'll just be patient and see which direction he goes.
I'm leaving Shasha with wildlife and space for one, still mobile slightly north, parallel with one I planned Leopard. We go. Bye.
I'll just move so these guys can have a look too. Imagine he goes onto a rock here, that will be unbelievable. So I'm just going to try to stay up at the top here. I don't want to lose signal while we've got this leopard. He's coming towards us here. I'm hoping he's going to go down into this drainage. MJ, we are on Chitwa. Chitwa Dam is just on beyond his back there. Very close to room 11 at Chitwa. He's in the Monini drainage line which runs into Chitwa Dam. Going to wait on the other side of this bush. He might jump up onto these rocks. Jump onto it. Come on. Go on that log, big boy. He's looking in the rocks there. What's he looking for?
Are you going to go online now?
We are.
Are you on?
Yeah, but you can go ahead there.
I don't want to go in your shot.
No, it's fine, because we're going to stay up. We might lose signal down here. So you could carry on, that's fine.
Is he on? Why are you not saying anything?
He's saying enough, eh?
Guys want to talk?
As soon as we're off air. I'm just going to reposition. He's sitting right behind a tree now. Thanks. I'm just going to reposition because there's only really one space here for the two cars.
While the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting, flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung Fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
Our competitors are in the room behind me right now for the birding challenge, where they have to look at pictures and identify the birds and then separately listen to bird calls and identify them. But it's not easy. This is going to be the toughest one. Here we have the previous year's winners. You can see they're trying to see if they can remember all the answers, and look at them taking a sneak peek.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth. Day.
But what we can offer you is a beautiful silent segment with a sunset. So we're just going to be dead quiet for the next few seconds and allow you to absorb the beauty of the surrounding area. While we enjoy the last little bit of sunset, we're going to link you over to Ali and see what she is up to.
Well, unfortunately, we had to leave Tavangumi. We had certain set of unavoidable circumstances that led us to leave the sighting. There was a bit of smoke involved, so we had to drive away, and unfortunately somebody else has taken our spot on Bofosuk, it seems, because we are only allowed 2 vehicles there at a time, so we won't be able to go back there. Thankfully though, we managed to have a good look at him, and now we know that we get signal on that spot, which is quite epic. Seems like Jonty has got quite an interesting sighting of some 4-legged animals, so let's head over to him and find out what they're up to. Where did Jonty say he was?
Yeah, we just had some hyenas busy greeting one another, smelling each other in the dark places. So these two hyenas are actually walking past. We still in the same area with Shasha. He's lying on a rock on the other side of the drainage line. And these hyenas are just sniffing around. They haven't seen each other. He's seen them and he's just kind of hunkered down. But I don't think they've seen him yet. Oh, there's a fish eagle flying over. It's amazing how things can just change. You know, we decided to come up this drainage line and we actually saw a vehicle behaving very shadily. And then we drove in there and saw the leopard, which is good. So you can see there's other vehicle enjoying where this leopard's lying. They follow them because there's a chance that they could get a free meal. So often you'll see them just kind of trailing behind them, and if the leopard catches something, the hyenas will run in and try and steal the whole thing, or if they find the leopard that's maybe got something up a tree or already stashed, they'll loiter around the bottom of the tree and hope for any little tidbits to fall down. It's a much easier way of getting food, you know, rather than hunting. You just survive on little bits and pieces that you get here and there by following not only young male leopards, they'll actually, it's easier for them to rob female leopards of kills. Big male leopards are able to defend their carcasses a bit more, especially if it's one hyena, but if there's more than one hyena, they'll abandon it and sort of jump up the nearest tree. But you do see that they will they'll kind of watch and wait, and if there's a gap they might shoot down and grab what's left of the carcass and try hoist it up a tree. It always amazes me how all of a sudden you can have two predators Jack, thank you so much. I mean, kudos must go to the leopard and to Darren for bringing you these images. This is pure power. But I was just saying, it's amazing how for 2 minutes you have two big predators within 30 meters of each other, and then they just move off. And now the leopard's so relaxed there on the rock. Sun setting behind him, not too shabby. Yeah, Darren was talking about it earlier, saying he can't believe that this is his job. This is ridiculous that we get to do this and bring it to you to watch at home. Darren, could you zoom into his rosettes, like on his side there?
A little bit more space, but not too much.
So the question earlier was about the difference between leopards and jaguars. So if you look at the pattern, especially on his side, inside that rosette, there would then be a single dot. And it's amazing how that small little detail changes the appearance of the cat so much. I'm just going to keep quiet for a bit and just let you enjoy it. Just enjoy this young male leopard. So you might hear the vehicle starting to move away. What's more crazy is now that that car's gone, we're here just by ourselves.
Well, not quite a spotted animal, but it is indeed a stripy one. We have come across a herd of kudu. Seems like it's a... He seems like they've found... well, there's a male that has found the rest of the females, and it just looks like a group of a breeding herd, and then just the one male that's either bumped into them casually, or maybe he's got some sort of interest. But kudus normally tend to breed in the winter time. So this would be a bit late for them to actually be interested in breeding. But he is quite an impressive individual with his long spirally horns at the back. Not too old though. The horns do widen apart from one another much more than that, but he's still a good size kudu. Very impressive. These guys are the largest antelope we get in this area. Roughly about, I would say, 300 kilograms or so. Very tasty to eat if you've ever had the chance. Often when you stay at lodges, they will give you venison. In some of the lodges, depending on where you are, you might get offered wildebeest or Impala, Ngala, kudu. as you know, trying to try some of the local meats. And kudu is normally quite high up there on the list. And a lot of people in this area prefer to eat venison rather than meat because, in general, all of these animals, they are not really farmed. So they move in bigger areas. They're not pumped with hormones and testosterone. And we're actually not taking away from wild spaces to raise our meat that we eat. So there's been an interesting shift in the last couple of years around here to eat more venison rather than beef, especially grain-fed beef. Oh, they're hiding away. Bit of a scratchy scratch around the tail.
Feeling calm?
I think we are live.
There, ball.
So we just repositioned, and thank goodness we've still got signal. But we are, it's like in such a legendary spot that we're almost eye level with him. Look at him. Wow, really is a beautiful young male. He's got a bit of growing to do, a bit of filling out to do. His nose quite pink still. Not always a dead giveaway of the age. Sometimes you will find their noses stay a bit pink as they get older, but typically the pinker the nose, the younger the leopard. It looks like a tutu. Ooh. It sounds like there's a lizard moving in this rock here. When he jumped up, he was looking in here. The age he is at now, he'll definitely catch a giant plated lizard or a rock monitor. They are pretty grim, actually. I've seen them eating very rotting carcasses. Obviously, when they are establishing themselves in a new territory and they're still not 100% proficient at hunting. Oh, we might see him catch a lizard here. I can't see the lizard yet, but I can hear it. He certainly got interested. I don't know if it's a lizard or maybe a snake, but I could hear something moving in the grass. I'm actually just going to look in there with my binoculars. It sounds like it was moving through the grass. I mean, something like a python, he would definitely eat. Unfortunately, he's moved just behind that stump. But I'm not going to move yet. Oh, big yawn. I just want to see where he goes. If it's possible, he might even put himself in a better position than he was earlier. Sheena, you are not wrong. I do, every time I see leopards, I think, how is it possible that they're so beautiful? I am actually going to move just to get that clump of branches out of the way. Don't move as we stop now, boy. This is crazy. It doesn't, I don't know if you get a clearer shot of a leopard than that. No, lie down there. Yes. Wow, that is the prince of cats, and we are getting to see it right now. Flip, this is cool. How's that pose he's hitting? He clearly knows he's top shelf beauty. I'm just going to talk on the radio. I don't know if anyone's interested in this sighting. The stations, my radio has been down. Is anybody interested in the sighting of Shasha in the Mwanini? Oh, that's like music to my ears when you don't hear the radio respond. But yeah, I think we caught that guide by surprise when I think he thought he was having a little leopard sighting to himself. And I'm so stoked that we did surprise them. So we can't take the credit for finding the leopard, but we'll still take it. And there's also been an update. We were looking for Marips north of Chitwa, and somewhere apparently he's been found on Chitwa as well, so he had us running in circles. So while we sit here and watch Shasha, you're going to have a look at the upcoming Fireside chat tomorrow.
While the African bush is desperate for rain, spring is certainly in the air. Fresh green leaves are sprouting, flowers are adding color to the landscape, and many animals are preparing for the birth of their young. At the moment, large concentrations of wildlife can be found at waterholes, which are the lifeline for the animals. But soon the rains will arrive, and the bush will transform overnight. Seasonal rivers will start to flow, the bush will be filled with baby animals, and it will become a time of plenty. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and join Ali and Jonty for a special Spring Has Sprung Fireside chat on the 12th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
Well, we're slowly making our way back to the area. Seems like an opportunity for us to try and keep up with Tavangumi again. So we are kind of hoping that we'll be able to put him back on camera. He hasn't moved far and he's still on the dam wall. So fingers crossed, guys, we'll be able to get there and then just have another look of him. We are still at a distance, so we're keeping a steady pace just to try and get back there. Hopefully be with him for the last bit of the drive and have a better look at some of the rosettes that are on his face and not on his back.
that's always a bonus when that happens. It's definitely getting a lot chillier now.
Well, no, I think we're live. I heard live.
Okay, I think we are live. We're still with Shasha. Beautiful. Young male leopard, if you've just joined us, we're in the Imwanini, which is a drainage line which runs into Chitwa Dam. And he's lying on some of these granite boulders. Look at that big yawn. Yes. I think we are in like a bit of a, because literally just before we found him, we were driving right here and we had no signal. So fortunately we have signal now so that you can see him. But I can't hear any of the radio communications from FC, but that's fine. I'll just keep talking as if I'm live constantly. I'm almost hoping these hyenas come back for another little sniff around. It's amazing how much more light the camera brings in. When I'm looking at him, it's not so bright at all. Is he... As far as I know, he has moved away from his mom. From my chats with the other guides, it doesn't sound like they've been linking up too much anymore. So I think he has taken that step towards independence, which it's tough. It's very tough for a male leopard in that period of their life, because they've obviously got to avoid other dominant male leopards. You often find female leopards will also be quite aggressive towards them because they kind of serve no purpose yet. They're not quite of the breeding age. And they've also got to dodge lions, etc., and catch food for themselves. So it is a tricky time. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. You can never really predict where they're going to move to. If I think of Tavangumi, who moved far north from where he was sort of born and grew up, and he's gone even further north from when I was here in June. So they've got to just go till they find a little gap between male territories where they can eke out an existence, and then once they are big enough and confident enough, then they'll start broadening their territory.
We're
WESSA has a long history, over 90 years, of being involved and even pioneering aspects of the conservation sector in South Africa. Over that long history, we have realized that all of the issues that we are facing both locally and globally are due to human impact. Therefore, we need to concentrate on working with people, and that is what WESSA does. What makes me passionate about the work that we do at WESSA, and in particular the work that I engage in, is actually connecting with people. Currently the work that I'm working on is working with youth in a skills development program, and just to meet the youth and to hear their stories and to bring them opportunities that we hope will have some impact on their lives really fuels me to get up every morning. A huge shout out to the women that I work with, as well as to all the women that are contributing hugely within the environmental sector, both in South Africa and in the world.
And I turned to shore and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened, or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we'd normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So we are still sitting with this beautiful cat, just listening to some of the evening chorus. I know it's looking a bit dark on your side. We're just waiting for a moment that we can screw in the infrared adapter. We just wait. It sounds like Wendy's got a bit hot under the collar, giving Ellie and Morgan a bit of trouble. But as soon as we get a chance, we'll put the IR on so we can continue bringing you these images of Shasha. I got so excited earlier when whatever that was, a lizard or a snake, whatever, I think it was a lizard moving through the grass here. It would have been ridiculous to see him try and catch something. But yeah, there was a question earlier about is there anything they won't eat. I mean, yeah, if you look at like the Smithers book on mammals, it tells you like the records of things that have been eaten, and it is ridiculous. It like ranges from frogs and mice, and fish, snakes, right up through to young giraffe, young buffalo. Here comes a hyena. From the
dark, I can't do anything here.
Don't stress, Dazza. Maybe frame up this tree. It'll be like listening to the radio. So Shasha is lying on the rock, and there's a hyena approaching us from the left. It actually looks like a different hyena to the ones that were here earlier. So the hyena is now about 3 meters from our car, walking towards Shasha up on the rock. Let me get my spotlight to give a bit of ambient light. So you can see what's at least going on. Sorry about this noise. So you can see the silhouette of Shasha there. So I know we don't usually use a spotlight. I just want to show you what's happening. He's actually facing towards the hyena now, which is directly in front of us. And there he moves. So I'm not going to try shine it there. He's just seen the hyena off, basically. The silhouette shot looks pretty cool. Darren's just making lemonade out of lemons here.
Pumpkin.
Oh, he's walking down towards us now. I'm just going to use the light on him. The hyena's moved off, so I'm not so worried about him being given away, but I don't want to shine it straight on his face. I'll just shine it on his body, so at least you can see him. So he's sniffing where that hyena was just standing. I'm quite happy when he's facing away from us too. Oh, dude. Okay. Well, I'm not going to shine on his face. I don't want to put the spotlight straight in his eyes. Maybe silhouette this balm. But, wow, that was pretty cool. A little bit of excitement. So we'll just enjoy the night sky developing with this tree as a silhouette.
Righty, seems like Tavangumi has decided to... So we've just left him to his own devices. He's gone off on a hunting mission and he was looking slightly on the skinny side. So perhaps that's exactly why he came from Manialeti today and then just moved on to this area looking for new hunting grounds, new areas where to find potential species. As the light is going down, or the sun is going down and there's less light available, then this is the time where the crepuscular creatures such as the leopards that fare better in low light conditions start moving around and then start hunting, and they tend to be more successful at this time of the day than perhaps in some other times of the day. It is looking fairly pretty tonight though, and very quiet and relaxing. So we're kind of hoping that maybe Tavangumi would have come this way, but it doesn't seem like that will be the case, and he's going to take a while before he gets into this area. But who knows, maybe tomorrow Sydney's Dam might be a good place to start looking for him. Maybe he'll get lucky. Obviously Sydney's Dam, being one of the bigger dams around the area, will attract a vast array of potential prey species such as steenbok, duiker, even kudu, impala of course, and who knows, maybe even an Egyptian goose if Tawangumi's feeling a bit optimistic. I'm sure many birders out there would be happy to see an Egyptian goose. But for now, we're just enjoying the view and this beautiful Marula tree. It won't be long until all of these Marula trees are going to start having leaves again. And just with the onsets of the rain, all of this that we're seeing so wide and open is going to become very thick, very lush, very green. It's going to be very interesting to see the difference between the two places. And funny enough, there's a guide in the Timbavati that made a very interesting, I think it's a book. I'm not sure if it's an e-book or an actual coffee table book, but he's a very good photographer called Chad Cogging, and he's made a book taking photos of the same spot but in the two different seasons, and he's called it Contrast, and it just shows the difference between the rainy season and the dry season, which is what we're experiencing now. So soon enough we're going to be missing all the cold weather and all the chilly mornings and having to put on gloves and such things, and then we're just going to be crying for the day that they come back, because we're about to get very hot. And if last summer is anything to go by, well, I think we can all expect to to be melting just before the end of the year. I can't even believe that we haven't seen Venus yet. Oh, there it is. Venus is, of course, a planet, and it's the evening star at this time of the year. So it's the first sort of, we call it star, but it's not really a star, as we know it's a planet, but it's the first celestial body that we see just as soon as the sun has been going down, always not too far from the moon. Fortunately, a bit tricky to show you guys from now, but if you're in the southern hemisphere and then you see something close to the moon that appears to be a star and it's very bright but doesn't twinkle, then you know that you're looking at one of the planets named after the goddess of Venus, of love, I think. Should be. It's probably Eros. Venus is of beauty. No, that's Aphrodite. Oh, I'm getting all my gods confused. I am so sorry. Zeus, please don't summon lightning yet. I'm not ready. It would be quite wonderful if Tawangumi decided to come and then just go up that Marula tree and then just go on that top right branch. That would be a spectacular contrasting look. I suppose we can only dream of leopards doing such things, but it's been wonderful that today at least we've had 2 males. It seems like we have had indeed an overload of males between Shasha, Tawangumi, Tortoise Span. What else do we had? Maribs, of course. Oh, he'll be angry if he knows that I forgot him. And we've just been having a wonderful time with all the male leopards, and it seems like the females are the ones that are becoming a little bit more difficult to find nowadays. They're just making it harder. They're playing hard to get. As we know, Tlalamba has been around, but she is proving to move in and out of areas that are not great in terms of the signal, but also not great in terms of tracking. Very thick areas, and just like her mom, she likes to mission. And she will often move from one extreme to the property to the other, and just as soon as we think that she might be somewhere, she pops up somewhere else. It's always keeping us on our toes.
Can you get him through there? So we're just following Shasha at the moment. He's just stopped next to us here. I'm just going to communicate with the guys at any stations on Chitwa interested in this sighting of Shasha. Going to try and reposition us and see if we can follow him. Walking into an area where we unfortunately last sort of view of him. Do you see him there? Ooh, he's going to go behind this bush.
The light back seems to be working up.
Oh, really? That's fantastic. Let's try one more. There, he's stopped there. Looks like he's actually going straight towards the Chitwa camp. What I would like him to do is actually go to the edge of the water and have a drink. He's looking at those birds that are busy shouting at him. Rubbing his head there. Come on, stay with us a little bit longer, my boy. Well, I think what we'll do is go down towards the water's edge and just wait and see. Maybe we'll be rewarded. But Darren, is there any way to turn this interrogation beam down? Hey, you! I nearly gave you my bank details. So cool to see this leopard busy walking along. We've had an absolutely epic time with him, but I think I don't want to follow him right in front of the lodge. It looks like there's people in that room. So let's just go find a spot down by the water and kind of just sit it out and see if we get fortunate. So while we move into a better spot, I'm just not going to drive because I don't want to drive into a hole here, so I'm not going to be speaking for a while.
Hi, we are Yaku and Milani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Ngala. It is obviously, I think for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
For me, the best part about being a guide is being able to live out in Africa's wild places and being able to share that with people. Of all the challenges, for me, the one that I'm probably the most comfortable with is the game drive. I think that's what I do most days, so that would probably be what I feel like I'd do the best at. Almost like someone's put little Lego blocks up there and made this perfect little sort of statue, and there's another one further along as we drive. One of the challenges I'm the most nervous about would probably be shooting. I think on the day there's always quite a bit of pressure and intimidation, always associated with it, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
I hope I'll win this competition, but if I don't, it's still been an experience of a lifetime, and I've learned a lot and met a lot of really, really cool people.
Goodness, look at its wobbly legs. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe we've actually seen it. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh no. Oh, it's okay, little one. Okay.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Go have a little scrub hair. Got a little scrub hair on the road. There we go. It's just jumped off. If you leave the lights on, then they tend to run wherever they can see. So they might just run on the road for a little while. And then carrying on with the leopard conversation, then Tlalamba's become a bit of a wild card because she's been seen here at Gallagher, then she gets seen in Torchwood, which is a little bit far for her usual areas, and then Buffelshoek Dam. So perhaps she's denning, or she's looking to den again, and then she's moving off into a different area where she thinks she might have better success than the previous time. Maybe she's found better den sites, and then that's why she's hanging out in different areas than what she used to. And well, Kara, Shidulu's previous offspring, or Shidulu's previous offspring, she's been hanging around Cindy's Dam, Manyeleti area. But they're all still sort of like on the edges, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of months or even the next year or so to see how all of this is going to shift once more and who's going to go where and where they're going to establish themselves. Because as soon as Kara has cubs and Tlalamba has cubs, and then Sibuyi races those cubs that she's got into independence, or Tandi goes back into estrus, I think things are going to shift once more, and we'll see them perhaps not in areas where we've been accustomed to seeing them. I think that's maybe it's been the tricky part lately with all of the leopards. And then the lions also, interesting story. The Talamati Pride, they've got older offspring who should become independent anytime soon because they're all quite older. But because of dark mane, some of the males might remain in the pride, they might not. And then of course the Nkuhumas it'll still be a while because they've still got pretty tiny cubs, so they'll stay together and they won't be chasing anyone off, and I don't think they're gonna move too much into this area. Seems like they've enjoyed going down towards Malamala more so than coming back up onto the Juma side, which is what we were saying at the beginning of the drive. It seems like there's been, when we were discussing the prides that come from Engala or the Timbavati down into this area, it seems like there's been a shift with the vast majority of the lion coalitions and even somewhat the lion prides, where they've come up from the northern eastern side and then they've just carried on pushing south. Sorry, Elton, would you mind repeating the question again? Don't know if my radio is working properly. Sorry, I didn't hear who the question was from, but yes, sometimes the female leopards, they don't necessarily always inherit a part of their mother's territory. It's the more common thing that happens, but due to shifts in areas or perhaps the loss of a particular leopard, these things can change. And there was a female leopard that was born around this area, and then she made her territory down in the southern parts of the Kruger National Park. I think her name is Tsakani, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is the one. And she's come from this area, and instead of sticking around in her natal areas, and she's made her way all the way down there, and where she found a good niche for herself, and the one that she's occupying and raising her cubs in. So it does happen. It's not the usual thing. But sometimes due to circumstances, some animals will do things that we don't necessarily expect them to do. Which is why they always keep us on our toe and why we like doing this job. There's always a degree of unexpected that we can expect. So it always keeps things interesting. wonder if Darkmane would have come back to lie down on his spot on quarantine during the day. That would have been good exercise for him, although it seems like he was found somewhere on Little Gowrie this morning. Seems like Junty's up to some interesting things, so let's head over to him and find out how his bumble is doing. Can't really hear.
Thank you, Ellie. We are currently trying to find the road. Unfortunately, that young male leopard didn't come back past where we were waiting, and it was just getting a bit too dark. We thought we were going to get lucky and see some hippos come out of the water, but they didn't, and it was a bit too dark. The IR were a bit too far to pick up. I must say, very, very cool. So for me, it's the first time to see Shasha, and he gave us such a good show lying up on that rock. And to have the hyenas close by, very, very cool indeed. So now we're going to be making our way back towards Juma. Let me just cross back over. Okay. Let's get the spotlight going. I'm quite excited to catch up with Ali and Morgan and find out what sort of pyrotechnics they were having on their car. So it just goes to show like the amount of effort broadcast live, the technical issues, etc., etc. But while we get off of Chitwa, you're going to head back to Ali.
We caught a glimpse of something just outside Tumbeta House, but we're not too sure what it was. Perhaps a honey badger. It seems like honey badger sightings have been really good. Although, on a second thought, seeing that we are on quarantine, I think perhaps it was more likely the white-tailed mongoose that lives around this area. Have a suspicion that's actually who we thought we saw. But it's been really good with honey badger sightings lately. We've had a couple, and even driving on the reserve, we can't always get them on camera because they drive away or they go into thickets, and then being so short and low to the ground, we don't always manage to find them, and we cannot off-road for them, so it's hard to keep track of them and see where they go. But who knows? I'm still waiting for a sighting of a honey badger carrying its little one in its mouth, because that is just so incredibly adorable, and they're so tiny when they're born. They're about maybe this big, which is about, I don't even know how much that is, like 10 centimeters or so. Time for greatness, honey badgers. We can find them here. Anyway, seems like we're going to be heading back to camp. It's not too long now until the end of our drive, so I just want to thank everyone that's been on the drive with us today and has put up with all the technical challenges. We really appreciate your company and keeping us entertained with your questions, and we shall see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully another exciting day with the lions and the leopards coming back, maybe a view of Thandi herself, maybe Darkmane, maybe the Talamatis will be back. Don't know, there's always something special about morning drives. You never know what's going to be out there and who's going to be out and about. Like yesterday morning, we did not expect to find Darkmane roaring in the middle of quarantine, so let's hope for a leopard soaring by the dam cam as well, potentially a female, so that we can spy things up and then also get to see some of the girls that we've been missing. We've been able to keep up with the boys, but it'll be nice to keep up with the girls as well. From Morgan and myself, thanks everyone for joining us, and from everyone in FC, and hopefully we'll see everyone tomorrow morning for the morning drive. Let's see what the weather and the leopards do. Who's going to be the wildest one of the two?